Ukraine is rejecting Russia's surrender demand for Mariupol. We're going to bring you the latest developments on this Monday morning, but we're going to begin the hour with video of a rescue in the aftermath of new airstrikes on the Ukrainian capital. This is video into us this morning from Ukraine's emergency service. Kyiv's mayor Vitaly Klitschko says a shopping mall was hit in a densely populated neighborhood near the city center. A number of homes are also damaged this morning. Officials say at least 8 people are dead. It's unclear how many others have been rescued and how many more may yet be trapped. Now, this is video showing the missile strike on the mall. And you can see right there, no sound, but you can see the force of the explosion as was captured on closed-circuit camera. Reporters on the scene in the aftermath say the mall is in ruins. The blast wave blew out the windows of nearby buildings, too, including a nearby apartment block. In this video, posted on social media by Ukraine's Office of the Prosecutor General, we can see what it looks like this morning.
Aftermath of the attack which happened last night here in Kiev, just 15 minutes away from the center. That's crazy. This is totally...
Now, this is a map from the British Defense Ministry, and it shows us this morning where Russian forces are. They're in red on the map. In its analysis this morning, UK defense officials say Kiev remains the focus for heavy fighting. But both the UK and the US Defense Departments both agree Russia's attempt to surround and besiege the Ukraine capital remains stalled this morning. The top military leaders in Ukraine say that Moscow, for the first time, appears to be preparing for a long war, and they claim that Russia is now calling up 17 and 18-year-old members of its youth military organizations to fight in Ukraine. In another breaking development this morning, Kiev is going into a curfew tonight, and it will last right through until Wednesday morning. So that brings you up to date to where we are as we come on air with you this Monday. And let's go to Warsaw, Poland now. Our reporter is Salima Shivji, and she is here with the latest as part of our CBC News team covering the story with you. Come back to what I was mentioning, Salima, if you would, the focus on Mariupol this morning, that Russian ultimatum, and Ukraine has rejected it outright.
Absolutely, Heather, and basically uncertainty reigns for what happens next after the rejection, flatly rejected by Ukraine. That chilling ultimatum from Russia, basically asking those inside the besieged city of Mariupol to surrender, to lay down their arms and to leave. Russia had said that they would be given safe passage, but they did warn that those who stayed behind with the quote, according to Russian authorities, bandits, would face consequences. Now, Ukraine flatly rejected that, decided not to surrender. That defiance is very much clear from the Ukrainian government, who said there is no question of surrender of that city. But the conditions inside Mariupol, very much hard to fathom. Of course, 300,000 people are still left trapped inside that city, wondering, sort of weighing the options. Should they try to flee? Should they try to do something? They're running out of water. There's no power. It's very difficult to find food in that city as well. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has talked about it. His wife called it a tortured place right now. Just the sense that 90% of buildings in Mariupol are damaged, completely destroyed or reduced to rubble, and there is intense fighting in the streets as people just struggle for food. Reports that some people are killing stray dogs just to get a bit of food. They're just so hungry, calling it hell on earth right now. So where it goes from here is a very much open question with Russian forces fighting in the streets, heavy fighting in the streets of Mariupol, and yet no sign of a surrender from the Ukrainians.
Salima, our CBC News teams have been covering the humanitarian crisis, of course, throughout this war. The latest numbers we're getting is about 10 million people displaced. That's all told. Millions millions have left the country and more than 2 million into the country where you are today, in Poland. You're there in Warsaw. Tell us about the Polish picture this Monday morning.
Yeah, Heather, you can feel it in the streets. There's so many more people here in Warsaw. You can hear the Ukrainian language on the streets. There are long lines outside facilities for free food for Ukrainian refugees. The city of Warsaw is, heaving under the strain of this influx of refugees. There's some 300,000 more people on the streets of the capital where we are, 20% jump in population. And volunteers are helping. There's an outpouring of support for Ukrainian refugees, but they are stretched thin as well. I'm actually just waiting for Warsaw's mayor to speak. He's actually outside a school that is going to be welcoming and preparing for Ukrainian refugees to come here to sign up for school. They do not know how long they'll be staying here, and basically the message from Warsaw's mayor is that Warsaw is going to have to absorb so many students, school-aged children. They're getting about 1,000 a day into this capital city. And so the message from authorities here is that, yes, Poland has welcomed Ukrainian refugees with an open heart. There are a lot of families who are hosting Ukrainian refugees, but he is asking, for help from other European countries, international help as well, to help Poland absorb the vast majority of these refugees, because it's not just about the trauma of where they left, the bombing and shelling in cities like Mariupol or Kharkiv or Kyiv. It's also picking up the pieces of what happens now in their temporary homes as they, stand in long lines to get documents to be able to work here in Poland, to be able to get health care here in Poland. A lot of uncertainty for so many of these refugees, and a city here and city officials struggling to deal with that influx of refugees.
Salima, thank you for all of that, and we'll be back to you for more coverage. Of course, Salima Shivji, who is live in Warsaw, covering the Polish angle to this story.